Today, I'm joined by Krishna Nagarajan to explore how non-traditional developers can build intelligent workflows using n8n for backend flows and 𝗵𝗀 for front-end. Krishna, welcome.
Hey, Swati, thank you for having me.
It's great to have you, and I've been looking forward to this conversation, especially coming from another fellow product manager. When we first met, you said that you are having a lot of fun getting back into build mode. I'm sure as a product manager, you've been exposed to parts of AI, even if not generative AI. Generally, what has been your journey into AI, and what are some of the fundamental mindset shifts you have adopted since?
Yeah, sure. Actually, first, thank you. I think this is a great topical thing. I have been using AI for about a year and a half on the projects that I have been working on, using LLM and using some ML models to build internal tools. I've been kind of curious, right? Like this has grown so much in the last year and a half. It's kind of blown into this great new tool. So I started dabbling with it a little bit and kind of using certain tools, and I was really impressed by how much I can do in a short time. So I started with like, can I get first, like anybody, can I get answers to these questions? And then can I build a small tool? Then I thought, okay, maybe can I build a web app? And then I built a web app. It turned out great. It took me like a few hours to build it with integrations and whatnot. And then I slowly increased the complexity to see the edges. And it's been great to play with different tools as well as different technologies and learning about them. As product managers, all of us are like builders at heart. This has really reduced the time to do that and given more power to a product manager, especially if you're not technical. So you can actually have a meaningful conversation with your engineers, take it a much further, much faster than what it used to be. It's kind of been a fun ride. I can't wait to show you what we're going to be talking about today.
So, Krishna, why don't you show us an example of what you've built with n8n and 𝗵𝗀?
Sure. Let me share my screen. To tell you a little bit of a story behind this, I, as many of product managers and generally anybody now, have a bunch of newsletters that I subscribe to on AI and product management and so on. And the thing was that they fill up my inbox, and there's so many of them. And then in a given day, it's like coming in different times, and it's kind of a disorganized way. So I thought, what if I built an AI agent that can go in, fetch my newsletters, get the articles, and what if it had a way to know what I prefer and don't prefer, and then presented that in a web app, an easy to read, consumable way where I can interact with it and keep learning. So that inspired me to build what you're seeing here. It's basically my personal web app that's published. I just categorize based on my personal preference on the topics that I want to read. These are all articles that came in like today, yesterday, or the day before. And it basically is what I've either read or not read. I can obviously click open if I'm interested, go through them. And I've also built this neat little tool that'll let me personalize my preference. And I can walk you through how this whole thing came about.
I like that. This is great.
So to build this, I use n8n, and it's an open source workflow automation tool like Zapier. It allows you to connect with various services or apps or tools, move data from one place to another. And it has this AI agent that you can plug in your foundational models like I do with the ChatGPT, and then power the whole thing to do whatever you want to do.
So it would be great to understand what is powered by n8n and then what's powered by 𝗵𝗀.
So maybe I'll show you like at a high level how this works. It's not a extensive architecture. Think of it like I am building a AI agent that is doing a bunch of things and then creating a JSON file. And then I built another web app through 𝗵𝗀 to pull that and present it. So it's kind of two different tools that I'm using to bring this together. So let's start with the n8n. So I have scheduled a trigger every day, midnight, to run this workflow. You can set it up any which way. It can be triggered based on a page refresh. It's very flexible in that sense. And then I have an AI agent that is powered by AI agent takes a prompt that I built, And the prompt basically asks it to go to my email, pull all the information, don't pull on different things that I don't want it to see, and then also pull my preference information, process it, and then present to me in the JSON format. That's basically the prompt. So that's what the AI agent does. And then I plugged it in with OpenAI through API. I gave it a simple memory. For this project, it just keeps track of what requests I had in the past. I then connected that with my Gmail. So it's pretty easy to connect with your Gmail with the auth and all. You can just sign in. And then I tell it what to look for. One note of caution is that if you get your prompt too large and then if you get your email too back, you can quickly burn through the tokens with OpenAI. I also have a Google Sheet that I use to store my preferences, and I'll talk about that later. And then once I have the output is in string format, JSON, and then I use a function which has a JavaScript to convert that output, whatever I get from the LLMs, to JSON format. And then I use HTTP request to drop that file in a 𝗶𝘀𝗹, the storage in the cloud that I had created. And so that's what it does. I'll pause there. If you had any thoughts or questions, I can dive into a little bit more before moving forward.
Yes, so this is very helpful, Krishna. Thank you. So if I am understanding this right, n8n is really powering your agent. This agent is powered by OpenAI, LLM model, and then you've also given it memory as one of the capability. Plus, you've connected it with some of the tools, in this case, your email and your Drive. And then your instructions is what tells the agent what to do. So this is where all the processing happens. And then
Yeah.
you are using V0 as a UI layer to organize this information in a more visual manner.
Correct.
And your output here is more in a JSON format. Where is your logic to convert your JSON into a more HTML friendly readable format?
Yeah, so that's all in the V0 vibe coded sort of environment that I built. And
That's
then,
great. And then going back to n8n real quick, I'm assuming these are pre-built nodes that are available in n8n. And then what you've done is you've orchestrated these nodes in a workflow.
yeah, exactly. It has a structure. So you kind of have to have a start or an input or a webhook to trigger it. In this case, it's looking for output parser, but here are all the tools. So you can search for, let's say you want to search for Google Sheets. You have all these pre-built plugins tools. You can connect and then you can configure them. And then you can use some sort of filter and add instructions to tell it how and what that particular tool should be doing. I think that's one of the good thing about n8n is that it has all these pre-built things that you can plug into.
That's great. So, Krishna, you've of course been playing with n8n and you're dabbling into a lot of different AI tools. Generally, what has been your observations building with these tools?
The first thing is that struck me is that how simple this whole build experience is once you get past what is that you want to build and have that system design idea in your mind.
Hmm.
And the second realization I had was the how part is become very easy. Like how do you
Hmm.
connect and build and like do all these complex things which otherwise would have taken a project with multiple weeks of work. The what and why part becomes now the most time. For example, I built a totally different Android app. It took me like a day and a half to build the whole thing, but then to do the research is what took me like weeks. So I feel like where we are going is we will be faster in prototyping and designing these tools, but then it becomes very important to know what we are building and why we are building it so that we need to pick the right problems to be focused on and move away from the noise. And then the third realization I had is that it's becoming hyper personal. I have a reading app for my own use. I wouldn't have
Yeah.
imagined that 3 years back or 2 years back. Now it's easy to make it super custom to fit my everything, like my articles, my color patterns, my design, whatever I have. So I feel like that's where the world is going to go, where it's all going to be hyper personal apps and productivity boost while the bigger part of it is like, what do you want to build and why do you want to build? That's where the product managers are going to be shining in this area.
So it's a remarkable observation. There has been, for the last few years, a great focus on more personalized marketing. What I'm hearing from you is this actually allows us to do more personalized building. And
Yeah.
even in my own journey, I'm finding myself building agents to solve a lot of my day-to-day repeated activities. The other thing I heard from you is that where these tools may be most effective is for the purpose of prototyping, for the purposes of vetting an idea, where once you have something visual to validate your concept, that's when it can go into a more engineering-oriented development cycle.
Yeah. Yeah, you touched on many things there. I think even within prototyping, I feel like a lot of us are very visual people. So your prototypes are very rich in that sense, very high fidelity, which was not the case before.
Agreed. If I was to compare, especially in product management or anybody who has lived in the world of software development, what was missing in the high fidelity prototyping environment was that you still had to know what you want.
Yeah.
What these tools have also done is it actually steps in as a thought partner. So I think that's another remarkable factor in why these AI tools are really not only giving us speed, but it's also helping bring that cognitive element that was missing previously.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'll stop sharing now so our screens are better.
Okay.
One other observation I found myself thinking about is the tools make it so easy for you to work with them. I'm able to freely work with them and don't have to worry about bandwidth issues or maybe how do I communicate what's in my head in a meaningful way that the developer will build it. So this also helps me come to a meeting well prepared.
That's great. Krishna, lots of great insights. What I'm taking away from this conversation is regardless of your background, your function, your role, these tools can help empower you to do your job in an efficient manner, especially the no-code, low-code environments has made it extremely easy. All it takes is curiosity and AI-first mindset.
Yeah.
So thank you, Krishna.
Thanks, Swati.